Juliet Danmeri speaks multiple languages. She has done since an early age. It has proved to be a very useful skill, in fact, becoming valuable during her 20 years of international event ops. But now she's embarking on a new challenge that uses her multilingual abilities and leads on her network of translators. While there is a movement towards AI translations, there are many times when a human is needed. We start a conversation with her move away from South London and on to learning and speaking different languages.
So I didn't go direct from Croydon. So I was in Lewes before, which is by Brighton. So kind of the journey was Croydon, Lewes to Portugal, which is where we are now.
For now, because you do like to travel, don't you?
Well, that's it. Yeah, we're just here temporarily, just
Yeah,
hanging out in sunny climes.
yeah. Well, you've got one of those businesses now that you could be anywhere.
Well, that's it. Yeah, we work with language professionals all over the world, work on events all over the world as well. So it doesn't really matter where I'm based because our language professionals are there and everywhere.
Yeah, because you've got a bit of a team. You are the mistress of languages.
The mistress of languages, yes.
Well, I would say master, but that's rather masculine. So mistress, which
I'll
actually
take that.
it
That's
does also have its own connotations. But yeah, how
fine.
many languages do you actually speak?
So I speak, so varying levels, Russian, French, Spanish, and I understand Ukrainian, and I'm currently trying to be able to speak it at the moment, and English, of course.
And English, of course. That's well, amazing,
Thank you very
really
much.
amazing. Because I lived in France and I have struggled learning French. And the French you speak in France is totally different. Yeah, it's the same words that you learn in school,
Yeah,
but it's not the same as how French people speak it. Do you know
I'm
what I mean?
completely with you there. So I studied French at school, so up until the age of kind of like A levels, till I was 17. And it wasn't until I was in my 30s that we launched, a company I was at launched an event in France. So I thought, oh, I'll just pick up French again and try and organize events out there. So that was the reason I kind of picked up the French again to start relearning it. So running an exhibition, I was just like, great, my French is fantastic. I was feeling really happy with myself. I could order electrics, I could order furniture, speak to suppliers, and then I would listen to the team speak and not understand a word. There's slang all over the place, and yeah, it's completely different. So I'm really confident kind of organising an exhibition. When it comes to kind of real colloquial words, it's a little bit trickier.
Yeah, it's really weird because in my experience as a French, yeah, it's full of slang, cultural references. It's like how we speak English. We
Yeah.
English is full of, as I say, slang, cultural references, shortcuts, small grunty noises. I mean, it's all sorts of things mixed in, and somehow you kind of think, oh, I'm going to go to France and I'll speak with the locals, and I'm sure they all speak perfect French. No, of course they don't. They don't. And I'm sure that's the same in Russian and Ukrainian. I mean, there's versions.
Yeah, that's it. That's why I kind of said to kind of I speak them to various levels because depending on what I'm using them for is how good I am at it. So, for example, if you told me to organize an exhibition in French, great, I can do it. If you told me to do it in Russian, I couldn't do it. But if you sent me to dinner in Russian, perfectly fine. So I'm fine kind of having conversation with in Russian, but to actually use it in a work or professional environment, I probably wouldn't be so great or so professional. So that's why I kind of say I speak the languages to varying degrees depending on what I'm using them for.
Yeah, it's proficiency and where it's at. I mean, if you're really good at French, then yeah, do professional work in French. But if you're learning, different Russian, what's a group? It's a group word, isn't it, for that area? So Russian, Ukrainian, and something else. It's all got a term, isn't it?
Do you mean what in Slavic languages or?
That's the word I was thinking of. Slavic, yes, Slavic languages, yeah. Because I've spoken to some Ukrainian people, and they do say that a Ukrainian can understand quite a bit of Russian, but not all of it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, but it kind of depends. My dad, for example, so he was from Nigeria. He spoke Russian but couldn't understand Ukrainian, which is why I understand Ukrainian but speak Russian. Um, but yeah, to me they're really they're similar. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's interesting. So, family home, you grew up with multiple languages.
Yeah, exactly that. That's where kind of the love came from. So, although it doesn't sound like it now, the very first language that I spoke was Russian. So, my mum's kind of got all these tapes at home of me singing all these kind of like Russian cartoon
Oh,
um,
wow.
anthems and things like that. So yes, that was actually the very first language that I spoke. But obviously, kind of going to an English school, that then switched, and now I sound like this. So, so yes,
Yeah.
English is the
Oh, you
first.
got, yeah, quite a posh English accent. Yes.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Oh, what a. Um, yeah. Oh, that's really so. So you've grown up with these different languages, the ability to speak them, understand them, and then you have this long career in event ops.
Yeah, and
Not going into languages. No, you thought, oh no, I'll do event ops instead. I mean, how did that happen?
but actually, it's worked out absolutely perfectly. So I fell into events by chance, which obviously a lot of people did. So basically, I was came out of university. I went and lived in the Dominican Republic for a little bit, had a little bit of fun, and then came back and thought, okay, I need to get myself a serious job. So went to some recruitment agencies in Croydon, and they sent me for good
Sunny Croydon, yes,
lovely Croydon, yeah, good old office angels.
yeah.
Sent me for an interview, EMAP at the time, which is now Hive. So
Oh, I
got that.
remember EMAP. They were publishers of many, many different magazines
They
and
were.
comics and all sorts. Annuals, Beano? Was it?
Oh, I don't know that. I don't know too much about their magazines. I worked on their event side. They used to run kind of Nadex and Pure, Premier Kids.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're publishers like that. But anyway,
They were a publisher as well, yeah, definitely.
yeah.
And they used to have a building in Croydon, so it was all very, very convenient for me. So yes, that was my first ever events job. So I fell into it, and it was all kind of UK events at the beginning. But kind of as I went on with my career, so I started by chance, absolutely loved it, and kind of progressed in it. But as time went on, I started working on more international events. I started kind of working with international suppliers. So got to start using my languages again, which I really, really loved. Because as I mentioned earlier, that I started speaking languages from a young age, studied it, sorry, at university as well. But I kind of kept it up in the background as well. So even though it wasn't part of my job, I'd still try and have conversational lessons or meet up with people to keep the languages going. So it's always kind of been there in the background, bubbling away, even if I wasn't using it for work.
Okay. Just to put it all in a bit context, and if you don't mind me asking, I'm not sure you should ever ask a lady her age, but so how old are you at this point when you're now getting into organising and being part of events for EMAP?
So I need to think back. So it was over 20 years ago. So was, I want to say 24. I think I was around 24 when I started working at EMAP. So
Okay.
yeah, so a little while ago. So I graduated, yeah, about 23, 24 when I started.
Okay. And that led, so how long were you in that
So
part of your career, if you
So I
will?
started, so EMAP, I was an event coordinator there. Oh gosh, you know what? I haven't thought back. I haven't even had that many events jobs. Now I'm trying to think back. So event coordinator. Then I moved up to ops exec. So I think I was there for 4 years before moving on to UBM, where I was for another 4 years. And then I moved on from there to Closer Still, where I had the chance to build an ops team from scratch, which was really exciting. So it was there that I got to do the majority of the kind of international work. So, yeah, so building an ops team globally. So that was kind of France, Spain, and everywhere, and working abroad quite a bit.
Oh, cool. So not only do you get to flex your language skills and impress the socks off everybody, but you've actually got responsibility. You're creating a team.
I did, yes,
That's
yeah.
brilliant. So how was that process?
It's really hard to even think back to that because it was so fast paced. When I first started at Closer Still, I need to try and remember which employee number I was, something like employee 13 or something. Um, and I don't think I had time really to think about how it was, just because things were happening and they were happening so quickly. So it was just a case of just getting on and doing it. So that's how it was. I just got on and did it, basically.
Wow, that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Yeah, it is. Well, I think
Yeah.
it is.
Is there a standout moment during that time that you've kind of like stuck in the memory because it was just so good?
Oh, I couldn't say. I was there for so long that I couldn't even say. I mean, I was the ops director there for 11 years, so I couldn't even pick one standout moment. I think kind of just looking back, actually, um, and thinking that, oh, I built that from scratch. Like, I kind of did that. So yeah, I feel pretty proud of myself for that, I guess.
Well, that's fair enough. Yeah, it should be proud. You know, the fact
Thanks.
that you've created a team and I'm sure you did amazing things.
Yeah, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, so pretty pleased with that.
Yeah. It's this can't quite get over sort of how many languages you speak.
And they're all really useful as well, I've got to say. So, kind of, although I didn't really know when I studied at university and carried on studying it where they were going to land me, they've been so handy for negotiating contracts, running events, but actually just life in general. I mean, even going on holiday and using them and asking for a drink, the amount of free stuff that you get just for kind of asking for something in someone's language as well. So, part of my degree, I got to live abroad for a bit.
Oh
So
yeah.
spent a bit of time in Spain, in Seville, but also some time in Russia as well. So in St. Petersburg, this is going back to 1999. I sound really old now. 1999, I lived in Russia. So people didn't expect me to speak Russian in the street. So when I did, absolutely loved it at that time. So I'd get invites back to people's houses, like, come meet my
Oh
friends, my family,
wow.
and all of this. So yeah, so I feel kind of languages just, yeah, get you places. Get you places.
Yeah.
You meet more
I
people, experiences are better.
yeah. Again, from my experiences living in France, you get respected for having a go. They
Mhm.
don't mind, even if you get it wrong or it's off by somewhat. The fact that you've tried, it goes down well.
Yeah, and I feel you learn quicker as well. If you do put a bit of effort in, you do learn. I mean, kind of when you said you lived in France and were listening to the people speak, I bet you picked it up quickly as a result of hearing people around you speaking it
Well,
quickly.
you do, because you're hearing it in practical use, not just textbook.
Yeah,
French
and
don't speak textbook French.
yeah, but I guess none of us do. Even if you listen to our English, how many times do we pronounce a T at the end of a word? We don't.
What's even more difficult is when, again, based on my experience in France, is could you just explain why English people say it this way? Why is the grammar in this way? Why have you written it in this way? And I don't really know.
No idea.
It's really awkward. You suddenly realise that you're not actually too sure of your own language, let alone anybody else's. And
I know.
that's weird.
It's true, but again, I feel like every language has its anomalies. I kind of think, like learning French as an example, the amount of times I say to my French teacher, "But why do you do this?" She's like, well, you just do for this one. This one has
Yeah,
no, you just do
yeah.
it. Okay.
There's some French. I'm sure you must have come across. I don't know if it's suitable for podcast, but I'll mention it anyway. When they say what, but they say what against everything. Do you mange or quoi? Are you going to eat or what? You
Okay, yeah.
know, it's just, it even gets down to a point. Bonjour, quoi? What? Hello, what? What are you on about? But yeah, it's just it's what I mean. We would say it. You agree though, or what? Well, you do. I mean, you say it to friends and family. I mean, closest people. You don't do it to strangers. But we have the little shortcuts. As I said earlier, the little cultural references and the special slang words that are regional.
Yeah,
You know, the pronunciation of words is regional in France as it is in the UK and anywhere else.
true. And I guess it's kind of knowing. It's knowing that you're speaking slang is the only thing, kind of not thinking, oh, that's how they say it, and then taking it into professional context and everyone looking at you really strangely because you just said like an awful word in a professional meeting. So I guess it's
Yeah.
knowing the context of learning as well, make sure you use
Well,
it in the right
I think
context.
that's the downside of listening to the local speak, because you might actually use quite a derogatory term, thinking, no, that's fine.
Yeah, that's it.
So when you do repeat it, thinking, I'll use this, I learnt this from the locals, it must be fine. Next thing you know, you've been escorted out of the room.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
won't do that again. So
yeah.
yeah,
You learn words from.
yeah. So after all that experience of organising, being a event director, I remember you saying,
Yes. Oh no, ops director.
ops director, sorry. So you had quite a long career in ops,
Yes, yeah, just over 20 years.
lots of experience, must have been somewhat of an expert.
I'm going to say yes. This is
Good. Yes, say yes.
not
Say
blow
yes.
my trumpet. Yes,
Yes, of course you are. Uh,
yeah,
it's, you get to practice your art for a long period of time. You're going to get good at it,
yeah, that's it. Yeah, and
which
it's
is,
yeah,
you can
and
apply that also to languages. By speaking different languages over a long period of time, you're going to get better at it. So is that kind of like a theme going on? You've been speaking other languages for a long time and you're getting really good at those. You got really good at event ops. So
I mean that if you do anything for a long time, I guess that you do pick things up and get good at it. And I think that's the beauty of it as well. Doing it in different contexts, you get to understand things better as well. So kind of I studied languages, I used them in a work context, and now kind of using them for my business. It's just kind of seeing different sides to something. And just with operations, I've used that for work, but now I'm using transferring operational skills to running my own business. So yes, I guess it's kind of honing things in different environments.
before we get to translatable, and you haven't said it yet, so I'm going to say it.
Okay.
Could you talk about your volunteering work at United Nations Human Rights and Prison Insider?
Oh, yeah. So that was just some volunteer work. So again, that was kind of a way of maintaining my language skills, and because I've always tried to volunteer kind of continuously since my 20s. So I thought that would be a good way to continue volunteering, but also using my language skills as well. So I'd volunteer on an ad hoc basis, translating things it was from French and Spanish into English. For both of those organisations. For the UN, it was just a couple of pieces of work, and for Prison Insider, it's an ongoing thing.
Yeah, but the translation into English is the correct direction.
Always into English. So whenever you do translations, it has always got to be in your native language because it is so hard to know a foreign language to complete fluency where you understand the nuance, you don't make any sort of written errors. So it's always into a native language. So I'd never go into Spanish, French, or Russian, always into English.
Yeah, so if you're taking a contract for a venue in another country and you're reading through the contract, you're taking it into your native language.
Yeah, exactly that. So and
Yeah.
it works the same way kind of with translators that we work with in TranslateAble as well, that they always go into their native language, always.
Yes, we need to get to
Yeah,
translatable or translatable.
TranslateAble.
TranslateAble,
Yes.
right? Which is your new venture.
Well, yeah, not so new, but yes, yeah, it's my venture. Yeah, so we provide language services to the events industry, and that's interpreting, translation, captioning, and transcription as well. And that's in any country and in any language. But it kind of follows on from my career in the events industry and languages. It's like a combination of the two. So the services that I offer under TranslateAble the services that I used to use on my international shows. So we used to use translation, we used to use interpreters. So I know how it works on the client side and the kind of services that I used to receive. So it's kind of polishing that up basically and just making sure that it's useful, helpful, supportive for the events industry and how I feel like I could have been better supported by a language provider when I was an organizer.
Yeah, so not just personal experience, but actually seeing what's lacking and thinking, I could do better. I could create something that would solve all of this and make life better for people in events to have all these and improved translation services. That
Yeah, that's it.
yeah,
Because I kind of feel like if you haven't worked in events, you don't understand the pressures, like, and how one tiny little mistake or something off could cost, I don't know, a sponsorship agreement, or mean that your sales team need to go and negotiate kind of money off a contract because there's been an error made, or a tiny mistranslation in a manual means that somebody's misunderstood when they can be in a hall, or what they can do in a hall. Like, the small things matter in events. And it's just, yeah, it's kind of, that's what I want to focus on, these little things that matter in the events industry, and making sure that we get those spot on and take
yeah. I mean, it's not just the understanding the most important large print parts of the contract, but also discovering if you don't understand the language correctly, or you misinterpret by yourself, that you may not realize that you are responsible for something that needs to be done, but you're not doing it because you overlooked it by accident.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. I mean, kind of one of my first experiences as an event organizer, using language services. Remember, we had a manual, an exhibitor manual, translated into French. And this is before I kind of started being a volunteer translator, etc., etc. I just started kind of relearning French again after school. And I remember our team going through the manual and just saying, what is this? Who translated this? Because event terminology, we've got so many specific words that people don't really know what they mean. And even kind of now, if I was to look some event terminology up in a dictionary, it doesn't come up as how we say it in the events
Yeah,
industry.
yeah,
So it's kind of knowing that and making sure that that makes sense. So it's kind of knowing the terminology, yes, but then also knowing the pressures. And sometimes kind of you do get something from a client that's like, could you do this tomorrow? And it's important to get it done tomorrow, because otherwise you could potentially lose a sponsorship deal or something. So it's kind of knowing the terminology, but actually knowing pace and pressures as well of the
yeah.
events
I
industry.
mean, there
So
might be a penalty clause in there that if you don't know what the timescales are, or you misinterpret the timescales, next thing you know, you're financially liable, which can't be good.
well, yeah, that's it,
Yeah,
exactly.
is that. So yeah. So basically, you're working. This is where you can actually be in different countries, like sunny, warm, beach-ridden Portugal,
Yeah, it's
where you
awful.
don't need a blanket, gloves, or an overcoat. Not that I'm rubbing it in or anything. You could
Terrible.
be in different parts of the world because you've built up a team,
Yeah.
and you don't. Yeah, and you have effectively remote workers who could just chip in. Is it done over Zoom or in person or both or neither?
It's a whole combination of things. So it depends on the event that we work on. So things can be done remotely, absolutely, definitely, and also in person. But it all depends on kind of the event, the kind of support they need, the budgets people have as well. So where we kind of offer the two, generally, we'll do a quote for both remote and in person. So then the client can pick what works the best for them in that sort of sense. But yeah, the fact we've got language professionals anywhere means that we can be based anywhere, which is fantastic.
Yeah. Does that work well with virtual events or hybrid events?
Yeah, yeah, perfectly well. Yeah, I think with hybrid events as well, I guess the beauty is that you've got a bigger pool of people to pick from then, because they could be based anywhere. Whereas if you're looking for an in-person event, we generally use local interpreters to carry out on-site work. So you're choosing from a local pool, whereas remotely you can choose from a wider pool of people.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
No, it's important because I think hybrid's still going on. Lots
Hybrid.
of, maybe not so much virtual, but hybrid's still there, and obviously the big demand for face to face. I mean, I know we're quite some time after COVID and all that, but I think we're not quite settled yet with formats.
To be honest, we're getting such a good mix of this kind of work. So we're actually getting a real mix of hybrid, actually virtual as well, and in person. We find with the in person kind of work, a lot of it is to support people. So, as an example, it's kind of when people have guests on site and they need to either make them feel welcome, or kind of having people on site who may not speak the same language. So it's making sure that kind of they allay any sort of frustrations before they even happen. So kind of people on site, we generally have to kind of put people at ease, make people feel comfortable as well. But we generally kind of get a good mix of both virtual and in person.
Yeah,
So yeah, it can be
yeah,
the
yeah.
two.
I'm sure you have like a range of skills you can tap, and languages and
Yeah,
experience as well. I mean, some will have much more experience of doing translation work than
yeah.
others.
Definitely. And then
Yeah,
kind of language professionals as well, the kind of, I mentioned that you'd pick people locally for the in-person, but actually the way that we match them as well is based on specialisation. So as an example, we did an event in Tokyo recently and it was about the pharma industry. So we'd pick somebody with the right language in the right area, but also somebody that knows pharma because the language professionals specialise as well. So that goes for the interpreters and the translators as well. So it's just picking the right people really for the
well, it
job.
is. It must be quite demanding because you've not only got to find somebody who could actually speak the language, and if it's happening, if you've got like a regional, like like we said earlier, if you've got colloquial words, you've got depending on where you are, different words are said in different ways. On
Yeah,
top of that, you've got the industry specific words like pharmacology. You've got to have all the correct all the right related words that they use has to be understood by the translator so they can actually go, oh yes, I know what this means. Because it may not be, it's never, I should think it's not always a one-to-one match. Like you were saying earlier with the vet, sorry, I'm going on now, but like you said earlier with the translating the events manual,
yeah, exactly.
the
Yeah,
words are never going to be exactly a one-to-one match, so you have to come get around it, and it
yeah.
must be difficult to find industry specific translators.
Not necessarily. No, I think if your network is big enough, then it's not that tough, to be
Okay.
honest. But you have just got to make sure that you do pick the right people. So as an example, kind of even in English, my native tongue, if you were to ask me to speak about cryptocurrencies, somebody who knows cryptocurrencies will know I have no idea what I'm talking about. And
Yeah.
it is, yeah,
Well, I have no idea either.
yeah, that's it. That's probably the only word I know in that
Yeah.
industry, cryptocurrency, and that's it. And it goes the same kind of with the interpreters. Kind of if they don't know that subject matter, then it's not going to sound natural. And I keep saying interpreters, but I mean translators as well. Even when they kind of translate something, if they don't know the terminology, it will read a bit stilted, and you'd have to probably have to read a sentence twice to make sense of it. So that's why kind of picking the right person for the job is really important. So it's not just a case of speaking language; it's also, like I say, location, specialisation as well, and sometimes actually matching the language professional to the actual job at hand. So, like as an example, I mentioned earlier that we had an event where they had people coming over from Argentina, and it was just to kind of make them feel at home. And it's making sure you pick the right personality that will be able to do that as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So again, not just subject matter or language, but actual personality and making sure you've got the right fit for the client too.
Oh, has there been a point where you've somebody's requested a translate in a language that you couldn't find someone to help you with? Is it like some esoteric language or already used language in the world that somebody's asked you to help with?
To be honest, so far not. I think the only time possibly it could have been a struggle. There's one occasion where somebody requested um, sign language interpreters in Germany, but really last minute. And sign language interpreters tend to get booked really, really quickly, especially in Germany, we find as well. So that's kind of where we got a little bit stuck with that one because it was a real last minute request. But generally speaking, so far, that's probably been the only occasion so far.
Okay, okay.
Hmm.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
amazing. So how long's Translatable been going for now? TranslateAble.
Translatable,
I'm going
yeah.
to have to get used to that. Sorry, apologies.
No, that's all right, no problem. So since 2020, we started. It's been 5 years now.
Wow, I bet time's flown past.
It has really, really flown past, but it kind of it just feels like it completely makes sense and completely fits. It kind of brings together everything that I've been doing for 20 years. Although it's been going for 5 years, I feel like I've been doing it for longer because, like I say, it's kind of been services that I've been using anyway. I'm a trained translator as well. I've been using languages all my life too. So it just feels like
It's a perfect match, isn't it?
what I'm meant to be doing. It sounds really ridiculous and cheesy,
It's
doesn't
it's
it? It's what I'm meant to be doing, but
It's the special needs. It's like it all came together for a natural point, yeah, sort of
yeah,
thing. I'm not a mystical thing,
no,
but
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 Make
but
it
it,
made total sense. Kind of when I was sitting
yeah,
there thinking, I mean, like ops was absolutely brilliant. I loved it, but it got to a point where I just wanted a bit of a change. And I was just sitting there thinking, God, what could I change to? And then this was the first thing that kind of came into, well, I say this, language is the first thing that came into my head. It just seemed like the natural thing to do.
okay. But to avoid people doing awkward mathematics in their head, so if and again, if you don't mind me asking,
Yeah, go.
so how old were you when you launched TranslateAble?
I forget my age. I'm 40. I age myself sometimes. 46. Am I 46? I'm 46 now. So I'd have been 41. And
41.
actually, my accountant registered it on my birthday as well. So translate
Oh,
able.
brilliant.
Yeah, just by chance as well. He didn't mean to do it. It shares my birthday as well. So
Oh, brilliant. Two
yeah,
birthdays, double the celebrations, everybody's happy. It's
that's it.
great. Yeah,
Yeah,
brilliant.
yeah. So yeah, so
Well,
41. Yeah.
I when I moved out of France, I arrived back in the UK January 31st, 2020, just in time for lockdown. Perfect timing.
What a treat.
It was, wasn't it? So, but I tried to use the time profitably,
Mm.
developing everything I was doing and refining websites and programming and stuff like that. How difficult was that few years of lockdown for you? As someone who's working with remote teams, was it kind of difficult to get started, or was there a way of not exactly taking advantage? Because I don't think that's the right thing to say as such, because people had some very difficult times. But when you're told to stay home
Yeah.
and you are able to build a team of people who lived in different countries to help build Translate Able, I have to say it that way now.
Should I do this every time?
Yes, tell me I've got it right. Thank you.
Okay, well,
Um, so how was that time?
it's really tricky to know how to talk about it because, as you kind of mentioned, people went through some really tough times during COVID. Um, I'm going to focus on its effects on my business. So, what it did do was give me space and thinking time. So, I found with events, because there's always an event schedule. There's always an event that you're working on. When you're not working
Yeah,
on an event, you're busy on something else. So I was always doing, whereas now suddenly, and traveling a lot as well. So I didn't really kind of have much downtime when I wasn't doing that. It's like I haven't seen this friend for ages. I haven't seen my mum for ages, and you're kind of always doing something. So when it got to lockdown and suddenly you have so much time on your hands because you can't do anything, you can't see anyone, you can't travel and can't go on site or whatever. So yes, kind of the thinking time for me was beneficial. And kind of with the structuring of the team, I actually already had a lot of contacts in place already anyway. So again, because I'd always studied languages, I'd done a postgraduate degree in translation studies because I'd used language professionals before as an organizer, or I actually already had these contacts anyway. So there was kind of a rough structure in place already. So it just kind of gave me time to build on that, if
to,
anything.
to polish it all off, as it were, to actually refine the structure and the
Yeah,
direction that you was going in. You had that time.
yeah, exactly.
I think it's okay to say that you benefited from that time. I mean, we most people will acknowledge that not everybody had a great experience. And I'm
Yeah,
putting that in a very polite English way.
yeah, yeah, that's it. Yeah, I mean, it is fair to say that. And I think the way that benefited most, again, is because of the thinking time. Because my first, so going from ops, my first thought actually wasn't to start TranslateAble. I was actually going to be a translator myself. So that was my initial thought. Right, I'm just going to be a freelance translator. I am going to be a digital nomad, and I'm going to just translate these languages into English. That was my initial thought. But then, kind of once I told people what I was doing, I was then asked for work that wasn't in my languages. So I just thought, well, actually, I've got all these language professionals that I know, so I could do what they're asking. So that's actually where it kind of started. So my original idea wasn't to have a language agency; it was for me to be a language professional.
But
So
when people start asking, you said, "Well, actually, funny enough, I do know someone who could help." And then
yeah,
the gears start whirring in the head, and you go, "Actually, I could do this on a regular basis."
yeah, and it just made perfect sense. So that's kind of the
Yeah.
direction that I chose to go in.
Yeah. So so during that period of time where you're taking effectively, whether you want it or not, you're taking time out to think about things. Is that
Mm,
habit you've carried on? I mean, are you still sort of separating out time, even though
very.
you're busy trying to keep translate able going?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, most definitely. Because I didn't realise I'm very much a doer. So kind of again, when I was in ops, I was just getting on and doing, and I never realised that I was actually just going on autopilot. I never ever took the time to think, well, actually, what am I getting from this job? Actually, what am I learning now? Actually, what do I want? I never sat and thought about these things. And kind of having all these realizations of I need I need something different, and realizing that I'd actually needed them for a while, but I just hadn't stopped to think about that or think about how I felt. And I've realized how important it is to actually took up, even if it is kind of like 10 minutes or something to yourself to think about what you're doing, how you're feeling about what you're doing. Is there anything else that you want to kind of gain? Should you be seeing your family more, your friends more? It's kind of having that thinking time to make sure that you're happy with the direction that you're going in. So for me now, thinking time is so important. And I never realised how important it was before COVID. That sounds
Yeah,
terrible.
no, I think it's again, I think everybody's acknowledged that during that time it was really difficult for quite a few people, and the general opinion seems to be, oh, we're back to face, everything's okay now. No, it's not. There's still people who
Yeah.
have long-term conditions, whether
Yeah,
it's health or mental health. You know, it still happens. But
definitely.
some people have started things, and it's changed the way they see the world. They've
Yeah.
managed to take that time to think through, and it's also been beneficial for many people to recognize mental health as
Yeah.
becoming, well, we can now talk about it. I don't think prior to COVID anybody really wanted to talk about it.
Mm,
I mean, there was to some extent a stigma attached that, oh, you got mental health issues. Okay, ugh.
yeah.
But now we're
But
talking about it.
I feel like 'cause it was so noticeable maybe after COVID. I think even myself, I remember the first event that I went to and kind of being out and just feeling really weird. Kind of not really knowing what to do with yourself.
Yeah,
Seen people for such a long time, and it was yeah, you don't sometimes you just don't realize things are happening or having an effect on you until you're out in the real world doing something.
yeah. I remember it was during the time I used to live. I used to live somewhere else during that time, and it was just weird walking around for that allotted hour that you was allowed out. For you can hear the birds and the trees and the wind and where have all the cars gone? It was just so quiet and lovely. But yeah, but it's at least quite a few seem to have kept the habit going of actually taking time out to just consider where they're going and do to be brave enough to say no to things as well as yes.
Yeah, I think that also the saying yes to things as well. Um, but I think honestly, the most important thing for me is just having the space and actually using time to think about what you want and making sure you're shaping your life around what you want rather than just kind of running with the direction you've always been running with and not kind of looking around. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, it's just not only taking time out to think, but actually to see the world around you
Yeah,
and the
that's
people around you. I
yeah,
mean, put the lovely, beautiful Portuguese beaches, for example. But yeah, I'm going
exactly.
to rub it in. You're in Portugal, I'm not. But yeah, it's taking that time to see the world around you and also to reflect and to review everything that's happened so far. Well, since the last time we did a reconsideration and review of what's happened, you know, to see, am I actually going in the right direction now? Am I continuing to go in the right direction? what do I have to say no to allow me to say yes to the right thing?
Yeah, exactly that. And I kind of feel like before I guess I was just following the path that thought I should be following. So it was kind of school, university, you get a job. I'm in ops, so let me see how I can progress in ops. And that was basically, I just feel like I was kind of blinkered into, I'm just going to see how I can progress in ops. And I never kind of thought to look around about what else might be out there and keeping my eyes open and opportunities open at all. So I think I wish that I'd kept my eyes open a little bit more for the duration rather than kind of seeing a path and just sticking to that path.
Well, for the amount of time you was with that company doing event ops, I guess you are fairly loyal to. At that time, you were quite loyal to the company, so you were doing whatever it took to keep servicing the clients, keep things moving on. So maybe it was important to keep things going,
Mm.
but not necessarily taking the time to say, actually, hold on a minute, I'm still doing one after the other. Is there something else that might be more interesting, maybe, or more suited to the skills that you've built over time?
Yeah, this is it. I very much feel like I was an autopilot, to be honest. So I think that was a part of it. It was just kind of operating on autopilot, doing things because I knew that I could do them and just getting on with doing them. And it's kind of, it took to for something to force me to break that cycle to see that that's what I was doing.
And
So
COVID was there.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, and here I am, and it's
there you are.
great. Yeah,
So, so
indeed.
so how does it feel to be sort of in charge of a female-led business?
I love it. I absolutely love it. I don't think I can even list the things that I love about it. I feel like in terms of freedom, it's fantastic. Um, I get to work to my own standards as well, which I absolutely love. Um, so far, everyone that I work with is wonderful. I get to choose which events I go to as well. Work with language professionals who to me are some of the most interesting people that I've met. I love them too. Yeah, it's just fantastic. It's
Oh,
brilliant.
wow.
The freedom aspects is a great thing. Like I say, working to my own standards is also a thing that I love.
Yeah, because if you've identified something that's not as it should be, then
Yeah,
you're setting your own standards.
yeah, that's it. And my own challenges as well. So kind of if I wanted a new challenge,
Well,
I could
this is the beauty of being brave enough to say no to things,
mm,
because you can say yes to the things that take you in the direction you feel you should be going.
yeah,
Now, whether
exactly.
ultimately it turns out to be the direction you should be going or not is a different matter. But if you can say no because you want to say yes to this thing that's going to lead you onto more of a challenge,
Mm,
I mean that's an amazing thing to be able to do.
yeah, definitely. No, I definitely feel very lucky. Absolutely. It was a good decision for me.
Yeah. Is there anything you don't like about events? Not hate necessarily, but is there something that you go, oh, not that again, or I hate doing that, or
So in my current role, absolutely not. Honestly, I just feel so happy with everything that I'm doing. There is nothing. Um, if I had to think back my previous role, it's going to be really petty things that I don't like. It was things like manuals, putting manuals together. I never used to like that. Um, there was one point, I will admit also, I was in the hall at 5 a.m., first morning of build, waiting for a truck. That didn't make me happy.
especially if the truck's late.
Luckily, it wasn't. But I remember standing there at 5 a.m. just thinking, is this my life? It's really, really cold. And I'm in an empty
Well,
hall.
that's it. You're sitting there, well, you're standing around at 5 o'clock waiting for a lorry thinking, I could have had breakfast in another hour in bed.
Exactly. Like the coffee shop isn't even open now to 8 o'clock. We're at 3 hours
Oh, that's
away.
just that's a horrible thing to have to go through. I mean,
But I mean, in terms,
oh,
I can't say there's anything that I strictly hate. I feel like the benefits of events far outweigh it. I think kind of At the beginning, I kind of said that I just fell into events, but it was just a perfect marriage with the whole language side of it, because you get to travel, kind of especially in ops as well. No 2 days are the same. You're working with different contractors, different teams. I just feel like it's a really good industry to be in. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. It's something I'm going to ask that I have not mentioned at all. What would you say to a young student who's coming towards their end of their event management course, right?
Mm.
What one piece of advice? Actually, it'd be as you think of it as you entering the industry for the first time, and you're looking, and you've got the chance for you now to speak to you back then. What piece of
Mm.
advice would you give?
To get to know as many people as you possibly can, but not just in the events that you look after in the wider events industry. So to me, I kind of thought I knew a lot of people in the events industry, but actually it was more kind of the exhibitions conference industry. But there's a whole world out there of events. There's kind of associations, there are agency events, there are corporate events. So I'd say speaking to as many people as possible. And also because I was very, very shy when I first started out in events as well. So I didn't speak to many people at all. But I think
Yeah.
the more people you speak to, the more kind of other experiences you get to hear and more connections you get to build, and kind of you never know where that's going to take you in the future. Because like all the events jobs that I had, I got through connections, not through kind of, apart from my very first one, obviously. I got through connections rather than kind of um, via agencies or anything. So yeah, so kind of speaking to as many people, because you never know where that connection's going to
Yeah.
take you.
The reason I ask, as I started to mention, is as we record this at this time of year, the universities and colleges, and probably schools as well, thinking about it, are going back in. They're back into their first or second week. So there's a lot
Mm.
of event management students are going into starting on their courses or going back to their courses, and a lot of them do their dissertations and coursework and maybe placements and apprenticeships and all sorts of things going on. So it's nice to be able to share some advice for them as they
Yeah,
sort of continue or start on their educational course,
yeah, definitely.
educational life.
I've got to say, it feels a little bit kind of strange also, because remember, like when I first started out, everyone's story was kind of, oh, I just fell into events by chance. So kind of now you have these people that actually knew they wanted to get into events. They studied specifically to be in events as well, which
Yeah.
is a great thing, because otherwise people would never have heard. Well, I say people would never have heard. It's not common before for people to have really heard of the events industry.
And also, as you alluded to earlier, is the event industry is a very broad umbrella. It covers a
Mm.
lot of different sectors and aspects. And I think perhaps you only get to know just how big it is by going through a university course and discovering, oh, I never knew you could study for that.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. Because there's never anything even kind of when I was younger, they talked to you about careers. No one ever said actually the events industry. No one ever said that, which I think is why everyone fell into it by chance. So I think it is good that there are courses available to let people know there's this huge industry that you can work in that's as fun as ours.
I think my careers advisor, which I think I ever saw once briefly, I think it was lab technician, but
Okay.
only as in wearing a white coat, moving stuff from one desk to another, one table to another. Nothing complicated. I didn't really do very well at chemistry or anything else. So, it's, but yeah, I think with the power of events going, and we've got the different universities offering event management courses, maybe it's chance for careers advice at schools and colleges now to be. Have you thought about the event industry?
Yeah, definitely. What would your advice be out of interest to a young Bob? What advice would you give?
Oh, now you're asking. Um, Actually, there's several things actually thinking about it because it may sound strange, but yes, I have thought about this briefly, very briefly. Um, First of all, when they say it's not as simple as you think, it
Mm,
probably is. It
okay.
probably is actually quite simple. So don't overthink things.
Yeah, true.
There is a temptation to put things off by imagining it's quite complicated, so it's best left for now, which means you'll never come back to it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. I feel like there are some things, yeah, you think that aren't for you, and then you start looking into it and go, oh, actually, I can completely do that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and you may actually you're interviewing me now. This is great.
No, I was
You
just interested. You don't have to answer.
so you may feel that the imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
You may feel that everybody seems to know more than you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that could be true in the first few years of your career, but no, they don't really.
And I also feel kind of sometimes when you have fresh eyes coming in, I feel like when you've been somewhere for ages, it's like can be quite simple. And sometimes you've only got time to do what you did last year because that's all you got time for. But a fresh pair of eyes coming in sometimes says, why don't you do this? You just think, of course. You just don't see it because you've always done something a certain way. So it takes somebody new to give you a different perspective sometimes.
I think that's so important that we have when you've got young people coming into the industry and they're asking really good questions like, why are you doing it that way?
Yeah,
And then if the person you've asked is struggling with an answer, but ultimately comes up with, well, that's the way we've always done it.
I know. Yeah,
That's a get out clause, isn't it? Well, that's what we always used to do. And that
yeah,
still doesn't answer the question, why
yeah.
are you doing that? And I think having young, fresh ideas coming in. Actually, I don't want to say young people because we can have students of all ages coming into the industry,
Good point. Good point. Yes, very true.
which is really cool. So
Mm.
yeah, right. I'm going to avoid the rest of those questions you asked me because by asking you, so what's next for you, and also for TranslateAble?
What's next? Just carrying on as we're going, to be honest. So just continuing to do a good job as possible. Obviously, hopefully picking up more clients along the way. Um, yeah, just carrying on.
Well, there's going to be a little bit more. I mean, are you thinking of like expanding a little bit, or going to slightly different areas, or
So at the moment, I feel because the events industry is my industry, so that's kind of what we want to stick to. And in terms of expanding, we already work globally with language professionals globally, with organisers globally as well. So it's just kind of doing more of what we're already doing.
I,
I'm sure there'll be more later on, but at the moment, I just want more of what I've
I,
got.
I, yeah. It's difficult to think of how you could possibly expand if you're already global. Where do you
Just,
go
yeah,
next?
just more where we are at the
Well, I
moment.
mean, we haven't made it to Mars yet, so we're hoping for that. Cross fingers. Well, that's brilliant. I mean, actually, just to briefly touch on this, there does seem to be this thought that you have to grow, you have to expand, you have to get bigger, you have to continually make the business more profitable, more people, do more, and it goes on and on and on, which I think is not a great way of thinking about things.
Mm.
The thing is, do you have enough? That's a question I've been talking to people about recently. And the whole idea, I'm going to get into very sort of philosophical now, but
Oh,
it's the idea that do you actually need to expand? Because is it giving you everything that you need as a person, as a young female, that that if you had any more, it would ruin it?
So, kind of, if you're talking philosophically, I have more than enough. So I'm delighted with the way things are at the moment. But actually, in terms of business, I do want to grow. But what's important to me is not just growth for growth's sake, but it's so important to me to do a good job. I want basically I just want everyone to be happy. So if we work with clients and if we do grow, it's making sure that we can still fulfill it to the same level we've always been able to fulfill it. And that's not just kind of for clients, but it's also for the language professionals that we work with as well, making sure that they've got a good environment to be able to do an excellent job for people as well. So while yes, I have enough, I do still want to grow, absolutely, but I want to grow the right way. So
At
making
your pace?
yeah, and just making sure that we can do things well.
Yeah, that's important because, as you said, if you're growing for growth's sake, because that's what everybody else seems to be doing, then you're not doing it for the right reasons.
No, that's it. Yeah, there's yeah, I want to kind of grow, but then for the clients to still be happy with what we're delivering. That's really important to me.
Any last thoughts you want to share? Because we
Um,
do need to bring this to an end. We've been talking for quite a while.
uh,
I've enjoyed it all, by the way. I mean, it's great,
yeah,
but we
exactly.
do need to come to an end at some point. So, any last thoughts you wish to share with the world?
I think kind of just in terms of the career side of things, I mentioned it earlier, just making sure that you do take the time to think about your life, where it's going, and whether you're happy with where it's going. Don't just work on autopilot, and just making sure that your life is the focus and that you're going where you want to be going. That's really that's probably one of the main points. And just about keeping your eyes open as well, and kind of whether that's in your career or with the people that you're working with. Yeah, just keeping your eyes open to opportunities wherever you can.
Thank you so much for your time. Brilliant talk. Really enjoyed it. And where can people find out more about you and the business?
You can connect with me on LinkedIn. So it's Julia Danmeri, Danmeri, or on the website, which is translateable.com.
Brilliant. Well, I'll put the links into the show notes so people can find you.
Perfect.
Again, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. Event Plan News is supported by the event industry. It's patrons like Vividink and Wear.app that help us to keep things running. And big thanks to our partners Shoutout and the Power Events. And of course to all our industry friends. Your support is really appreciated. Details for how you and your business can be a patron can be found in the show notes and on the EPN Journal website. Thanks for listening.